Does your profile picture hurt your business? I know that is really harsh, isn't it? I usually try to stay positive, but I really needed to ask this because I wanted to get your attention. How we present ourselves out there, whether it be in paper, on our website, or on social media. If you are an entrepreneur or a business person, this is key. I am Carmen Davailus, and I am a professional photographer, but I spend a lot of time in wildflower fields. And so you've probably seen my art for sale and examples and things like that. But what you might not know is when I first started as a professional photographer about 10 years ago, I went to entrepreneur meetings and I realized mostly women, they were female entrepreneur meetings, really needed to show up on social media. And I got very good at headshots, so kind of the quick mini sessions, but to give the most that we can get from those, as well as the whole bigger packages for social media. And I ended up really loving it because it really meant talking a lot about people's businesses, and I got to connect, and I loved it. When we start talking about headshots, I feel your pain here. And when I say headshots, I'm kind of doing in quotes because when I was a nurse practitioner, and I was a nurse practitioner like 40 years, my very last position was in a clinical position and I loved it. But when I first started, I was told you need to show up at corporate and we're going to do headshots. And I pretty much gave that deer in the headlight look. And I'm like, headshots? And they're like, yeah, are you ready today? Well, it had been a rainy day and it was humid, and I did go in trying to look my best because, that's kind of important. And I thought, I think I could be. What do I know? Okay. And they handed me my white coat that had embroidery with my name on it. I'm feeling pretty good about this. And I meet the photographer, this guy, and we proceed to go into this closet where he has a couple lights set up, and it was a small closet and it was a bit hot in there. And so I'm like kind of sweating. And he's guiding me on how to stand and what to look and what to do. And I was incredibly uncomfortable. And he did a pretty good job, I guess, of helping me feel comfortable. But anyhow, we got some good shots. And then a couple weeks later, I got them in gallery, and I didn't even know edit for not edit, honestly. And there wasn't a lot of editing. And then when I look back, I'm like, it's a good thing I was just a little bit younger then. Sat down and go, I need to choose my favorite. And that was a whole other thing for me. How did I want to show up? Which did I think I looked best in? What was most professional, and so on and so forth. And interestingly, as the years went on, patients would come in, because I'm going to tell you that one headshot stayed on the website for years. I had some patients come in and say, I saw your picture on the website and I chose you. I chose to see you, which I thought was really nice. And my picture represented how I was, at least how they thought. And I had some come in, as we say in Texas, will bless their hearts, say, oh, are you tired, honey? And the truth was I was exhausted. And yeah, a little bit, but why are you asking? And because I thought, I did my makeup and stuff, I don't know. And they're like, well, that picture of you on the website and how you look today is just a little bit different. I'm like, maybe because it's like 5 years old, or because I really am tired. I don't know. I had someone point out that my posture in my headshot was really great, and I just wasn't showing it that day. And truth be told, I was sitting on a little round stool like they have in clinics, and I had my laptop. I'm trying to balance that. And yeah, I'm sure my posture was super bad. But the point being here, I got off on a tangent, but my point is the headshots were very, very important. And that was one of my first exposures to the importance of a headshot. As a photographer and learning portraiture and things, when I learned about headshots, this is where I was thinking until I started hanging out with entrepreneurs. And I started thinking about all the places that we use those photos and how important all the different ones are. And I answered the call, what my clients wanted. So I sometimes do mini sessions. They're like maybe 10 to 15 minutes per person. And I call them mini sessions and beyond because I'm a bit of an overachiever. And I want people to walk away with something they can really, really use. I also do something I call business lifestyle, which maybe I will go to your home. I learn about your business beforehand, so we have an idea. I can give you where we might do the photo shoot and the various ways you want to be photographed. I always ask this question, like, what are the top 3 you want people to think when they see your picture? And you might want to think about that if you're getting ready to get your pictures done. Do you want confident? Do you want fun? You name it. You think about what those are for you, and you're already thinking that I am confident. I got this. You know what? It's going to come through. Let's talk about what you might need for mini sessions, because I know some of you are scheduled and are planning to attend a mini session I have coming up. What about your clothing and your colors? So I recommend either a solid color or a smaller print, because we don't want it to be about unless you're a clothing designer or jewelry designer, your jewelry and clothing need to not be the standout parts, right? So think about that. I recommend wearing something that you can easily put a jacket over or a cardigan over. I wore this on purpose right now, and I say on purpose because in order to record, I have to turn off the AC. It's very loud in here, and we're in Texas, folks, so it is kind of warm. But I wanted to show you we could do without a jacket or with a jacket to get some variety. So you've got some choices in there, because you're not going to want to purchase just one picture. You're going to want to look and you're going to want to think about having a nice collection for yourself. Colors, what colors should you wear? You can tell I'm all about the pink, but that's part of my branding and things too. You also want to think about where you're going to use them, right? So you want to think about your branding colors. And if you've got something, let's say I have a speaking thing coming up pretty soon. Their branding colors are different than mine. I want something that's going to complement, not compete. And so if you know you've got something, you might want to think about that. Props. Now, I love props, and I'm not meaning to be silly about this. Sometimes I am, but that's part of my branding. Okay, so I can be a little silly. You want to think about what your branding is. So for instance, I photograph flowers. I often have flowers in my hands, or I'll put them in front of my face, or I've done some goofy stuff. Those are my flowers. And I've done some with different glasses and things, but it goes with what I'm talking about. When you're thinking about your business, maybe you're not as much a creative entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, we are all creative. Just that out there. We are all creative, but let's say you're in finances and you are an accountant. And so you're going to for sure want a nice collection of your standard headshot, whatever it is you like to wear, your suit or your what have you, and they're going to be rather formal looking. But that doesn't mean that your expression has to be the same, right? You might want some that are more serious, kind of that whatever your top 3 things, right? And if you want to be inviting, you're going to want to smile. And if you love to work with people who are a little bit on the jovial side and love to have some fun too, you can have a picture of you laughing, and you can use that in your posts or on your website or what have you, that you can have fun and still be very serious about your numbers. I worked with a money mindset coach who came in for a mini session. It was very short, and she brought in like $100 bills. And in my mind, they were real. Maybe they were not. I'm not sure now that I think about it. But she did some cutest things, kind of fanning and putting them here and there. And we got some fabulous photos in that time. She used them for her speaking and just everywhere you can think of, because she wanted to attract the kind of client who was thinking about money not as like a fear or just as something that was fun to talk about, right? So that was her message, and I really love that. That was a lot of fun. I've done a lot of fun photo shoots with props, so I've got some ideas. If you're wondering, just drop me a message. You want to ask your photographer about the background. What color background? I'm assuming these are indoor photos for right now. So what kind of background? It might be black, white, gray, might even be a green screen if you plan on changing the background and things, but standard is kind of the gray, brown, white, or black. You really want to know. You don't want to wear a black suit if your background is black. You want to ask your photographer, once you get the images, can you change the background? Or B, can they do that for you? There will be a charge, but can they do that for you? This is a way to get a lot of traction from just a handful of images, right? Say you purchased 5, you did a mini session, you got 5, you got a great deal on them. Instead of paying $2,000, you maybe paid $100 or $200. But this is the way to reuse them by having some negative space to put words in. If you've got a post, maybe it's a quote or about an upcoming event or something. I'll show you some examples of mine. Okay, so I use those for some of my photography, some of my speaking, some of my profile pictures. I know you may have more questions. I would love for you to leave them in the comments or reach out to me. You can probably tell that I love to talk about this. God knows, I just love to talk, honestly.
What about after the photo session? You'll receive a link to an online gallery to review your images. See you soon. Reach out for any questions.